Now, this is the kind of interview I don't get to do all the time, but this might be the most relevant topic I
Fortunately
do.
for most Americans.
Yes, but I'm with Harvey Silikovitz, an old friend from when we were at Johns Hopkins Center for the Advancement of Academically Talented Youth, CTY, and, he was the only Harvey I ever knew for a while, and he's an unusual guy. I did meet a Harvey years later, a friend of a friend who was in a grad student program in Tulane. But really, he's the only Harvey I knew, and I had known of Harvey Haddocks and Harvey Catchings, who were an old baseball player who was pretty good and an old basketball player who really wasn't that good. It's not a name you encounter that much. And I wanted to ask Harvey what it's like today as we anticipate his name basically becoming potentially the male version of Katrina.
Well, like you mentioned, my name really was not a name that you heard very much until the last few days.
Well, we're going to hear it even less probably in the future.
Yeah, and I did a little research before this call, and it was never super popular, but it was much more common in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. It peaked at number 51 all the way back in 1880, meaning in that year it was the 51st most popular name for boys born in the United States.
Okay.
And it was trending downward ever since then. And I did have kind of an inferiority complex about my name because I always thought of it as sort of an old person's name. And yeah, there were guys of previous generations you would hear about, like Harvey Haddocks, who you mentioned, and there was that movie with Jimmy Stewart about the invisible...
I forgot about that. Yeah, the 9-foot rabbit, right?
Right, and Harvey was a name chosen for the lagomorph, if you will, in that movie.
And let me catch people up. It means brave warrior or something, or able warrior in Old English or Old French. Do I have that right?
Well, lagomorph is another word for rabbit, basically.
No. I mean the name Harvey itself.
Oh, the name Harvey.
It's
I used to know that. I think it means something like that. I think it's related to names like Henry in that regard. I'm not sure.
Okay, I think it's something warrior.
But I also noted when I was looking at the charts that the last several years the name Harvey had been trending upward in popularity for newborn boys, but sadly I suspect that trend is about to be reversed.
Yes.
It was kind of cool in recent days seeing my name everywhere and everyone talking about Harvey on the internet and hashtags like Harvey Party among some of my friends in Texas who were battening down the hatches and having parties to try to get through their days of isolation. And at the same time, I don't really feel bad about all this because, I have no responsibility over the National Weather Service choosing what to name a particular tropical storm.
Well, Harvey, let me ask you, because I saw it at the library in Florida, and I said, that would be interesting. I always am wondering what names would be good for our hurricanes, and I did think of you when I saw Harvey on the list. That would be an interesting name. But did you actually know Harvey was potentially on the list this year?
I don't really follow those things ahead of time. It wasn't until about a week ago that I saw that there was a tropical storm developing with my name, and I started mentioning that to people, and I never imagined that it would develop into what it has. And I've seen those pictures, I'm sure we've all seen them from Houston the last couple of days, and I certainly feel horrible about what that city is going through. I have some friends there, and even if I didn't, no one should have to go through that. Of course, I think it's a safe bet that the name Harvey will be one of those hurricane names that gets retired after this particular storm.
I think that's a pretty safe assumption right now. I mean, I remember you were joking about it because people, by the way, should follow you. You have a great website about doing karaoke around the world, and I personally appreciate karaoke. What is it? H-Bombs Worldwide Karaoke. You actually go with H-Bomb, not Harvey, for karaoke. And that's worth seeing. But you were even joking about it when we didn't know the extent of it, that, maybe I should do Rock You Like a Hurricane. This will be my only chance. And then you sort of backed off from that when you saw the implications of...
Yeah, I didn't think that it would be the most sensitive thing to do.
Right.
Because by this past weekend, which is when I do karaoke in other cities on weekends, it was evident that it was quite a storm and that it was really bad for the people in Houston and some other parts of the Gulf Coast region. And yeah, it seemed like way, way, way too soon.
Yeah, I would say, I think it probably always will be way too soon. You may want to retire that one. That one's kind of hard to do because he has a very high voice anyway, so maybe it's a little bit of a relief. At what point did you say, like, it must be kind of cool having a hurricane in your name, and you said you had a little bit of an inferiority complex with the name because it was a little old-fashioned. When did you say, oh, wait, this isn't cool anymore? Like, at what point? Was it Thursday or Friday when you said, I don't know about this?
Well, I never really felt it wasn't cool because, like I said, I have plausible deniability.
Right.
Like, it's not my fault that it was given the name it was. And I personally was actually in Detroit this past weekend, which is nowhere near Houston. And I actually, like, when someone mentioned in a Facebook post about Tropical Storm Harvey a few days ago, I commented like, hey, I've been upgraded to a hurricane, or I hope I get upgraded to a hurricane, or something like that. And so I feel bad for what's happened, but I don't have any regrets about the name.
Yeah, do you feel, does it have a weird effect on, like, whatever inferiority complex still existed as an adult with an unusual old man's name? Do you now feel like you can't pick on the name Harvey anymore?
I guess you could probably say that, although, as you know, I've had the nickname H-Bomb for a long time.
Right.
So that's had a similar effect anyway.
Right. You have two destructive nicknames, I guess you could say.
And of those, I think I'll stick with H-Bomb after what this hurricane has done.
Yes, that's for sure. Any final thoughts about this? And can you tell people a little bit more about your website? Because it's really very well done, your travel and your karaoke.
Oh, sure. Thanks for asking. So I've done karaoke in 50 countries and 36 U.S. states now. And the website, which I admittedly do not update often enough, my favorite feature is I post videos of my performances in various places, and I also talk about the stories behind some of those evenings, as well as what I see during the day when I'm wandering around these various cities.
And it's H-Bomb's Worldwide Karaoke. People can just Google that, right?
Yeah, it's just, well, or I could just give you the URL. It's just hbombworldwide.com.
Okay, cool. All right, Harvey Silikovitz, I hope it's not too deadly, not necessarily for your sake, but it's going to be an interesting 3 days down, and I guess maybe only 2 days more at this point, in Texas and the Gulf Coast. So
yeah, and the one good thing is I haven't heard about too many casualties.
Yeah.
Which is not to minimize the significant property damage that is obviously going to result from all the flooding.
Yeah.
But there's at least one silver lining in that respect compared to, say, Katrina.
Well, at least until tomorrow night, or at least until tonight, tomorrow, it might get a lot worse with the flooding. Who knows? Maybe people have evacuated. We just don't know at this point yet.
Yeah, hopefully people have evacuated and are at least staying safe.
Oh, at least, one more question, Harvey. Are you getting some really bad jokes, or have people just stayed away from that total because it's just too tragic?
I think there's definitely been a drop-off in people making those kinds of references to me lately.
Understood. All right, Harvey Silikovitz, H-Bomb's Worldwide Karaoke, and shares a name with a pretty devastating hurricane. Thank you for coming on today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Adam.